now. It's the hip new thing. You know, as they say, all the young people are depressed and poor, and they're not just poor for fun. It's a fad. It's not a phase, Mom. It's not a phase. Shit, my microphone fell down. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about bills. Tell me about it. Okay. Let me actually do the thing where I like start the podcast and pretend to be a well-functioning human being. God, I love that starting soon screen, man. It's so good. Anyway. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Webcomics Hubcast. My name is Nan, your intrepid reporter, your guardian angel, your guiding light. And I'm here today to regale you with tales that I have gathered from the internet. I could have done more work, but I refused. And that's what makes me the greatest webcomics journalist ever. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for me. A round of applause for you. But unironically today, I have like two things I want to talk about that are actually relatively interesting. One of them is funny because it's about money. And the other one, okay, go fuck yourself, Luxifer. And the other one is even funnier because it's about firing people. I think we're gonna have a wonderful dialogue. And as always, remember, when I bring up a topic, I really do want your opinion. I really do want your input. Back and forths are something I really love on this channel, and you're all very smart. So, I think a great place for us to start, really. Let me just make sure I have all the volumes right on this. A great place for us to start, really, would be if I could just get the display on this going right. Would be this article from ICV2. This article from ICV2 that's talking about that in which some people spoke to which I need the bit where it's terrible. The bit in which some people spoke to CEO Chang Kim of Tapas actually he's CEO, he's working at Cacao, but he's technically the CEO of Tapas. That's my shitty flute rendition of Celine Dion's music because this was a Titanic moment. This is a Titanic moment. This is damage control, the article. I love it because it actually is damage control, the article. And there's some things he says that are actually true. I should say some things he says are true. So this article, written by Rob Salkovitz, who I have opinions on, but they don't really matter, largely is just Rob talking to Chang Kim, CEO, no longer actually the controlling force at Tapas, which is now actually the chief creative officer, with Chang being given a position at Cacao. And they have a few conversations with some great points. For example, they talk about why they fired everyone. And it's because Tapas is pivoting away from in-house content. Because in-house content just costs too much to make. And Tapas has found that it is cheaper, easier to just rely on us to make content for them that they can then monetize in whatever way they choose to. Then there was a conversation about Cacao losing money and how that's affecting them. And yes, it is. And there was another bit of the conversation where we find out that a bunch of the people that got fired were also hired like recently. So as I told you, 30% of the total staff working at all three companies got fired. Is the rumor going around the rumor mill, right? That 30% of all three of the staff of all three companies got fired, with most of the people getting fired coming from Radish, actually, and not Usha World or Tapas. And that's because a lot of them were making in-house content. A lot of these people were making in-house content. They had turned down other jobs to work for this group, And they got fired not long after they got hired, which is shitty. But essentially, this article is Chang Kim doing damage control and being like, look, we might have had a rough time, but Tapas is still a big company. You know, Radish and Wuxia World are still big companies. They're floating. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. We're flying. You know that thing from High School Musical where they're like, we're soaring. Whatever the fuck the other lines are. I don't remember High School Musical. Like that's what this article is. This article is the written equivalent of that. And I think my favorite part about it, is when Chang says, uh, when Chang says, we had to review the current business in this case, our in-house efforts to develop original IP. We had tried to approach that by hiring staff members, artists, editors, and developing the stories in-house, the way that Marvel or traditional companies do. That's the part we're scaling down. There are nice things about owning the content, but it's the most time-consuming, resource-heavy approach. So we decided to scale back. Maybe we will be coming back to it at some point, but I think we were a bit too early, so we are reassessing. What that means is we done fucking goofed. That's business speak for we done fucking goofed. We didn't think it cost this much to make content because we've made other people do it for a long time for virtually no money. And then we started doing it and then we realized, shit, it costs money. Because most people don't work for pennies, because most people don't have some original story to tell that they're desperate to tell at any cost. So Tapas realized that the community was the only way they were going to be getting a bunch of original stories that would be marketed by someone else, right? And all the work would be done by someone else. And then because of that, they've become more community focused. And if you're in the Tapas Discord server, invite your friends here so they can know what the guy running the company that they work with is saying. Because it's so fucking like Chang is not the worst person in the world. It's not really it. I feel like that's very low praise, but whatever. It's just it's a matter of like it's a matter of like this isn't some kind of like terrible thing. Companies do this all the time. Companies are always in this position and they regularly exercise the fact that like they have all this control over they regularly exercise the fact that they made bad decisions and they punish their staff for bad management decisions. This is a bad management decision. Hiring a bunch of new people to make in-house content with no clear understanding of how much in-house content really costs, and then realizing you're done fucked up, then only to backtrack and try and reduce costs by firing those same people you hired is a little question mark exclamation point. Like it's a little the fuck, you know? Like I don't know. It's not strange. It's not unusual. It's just bad. That's it. It's just bad. And I think what's funny for me is like post acquisition of all of these companies, right? Post acquisition of all of these companies, like in the year to date since in the year since the acquisition of all these companies, Cacao's stock price has halved. And I need to remind you people that there is a very strong chance that Cacao bought Tapas, Wuxia World, and Radish on debt, based on the fact that their stock price was double what it currently is. And if you're wondering what that is, right? I just need to remind you, Cacao stock is currently trading for about $82 a share. Last year, it was trading at $160 a share. Last year, about the same time, we're trading about $160 a share. So to say that Tapas's stock value plummeted is an understatement. from Misty Nix in chat. I love how the people that are being praised as being the goal of our society, sorry, I have hiccups, CEOs, tend to have horrendous foresight. But hey, there might be profit. I wouldn't even say the CEO is at fault here. I mean, he's definitely at fault. He gave the company a certain trajectory, didn't really think about how it would be affected by that, and didn't really give his staff any like understanding of didn't really allow his staff to understand like how they could backtrack from this if it fucked up. But the management on other levels could have made better, more conservative decisions, and they didn't. They didn't, and that's so ridiculous. Sorry, I got a text, guys. I just need to make sure I get this handled. Okay, cool. It's just, I just think it's quite funny that that Cacao Corp is having this problem. I think I love the bit when Cacao Corp's share price was discussed with Chang Kim. He was told, "Hey, look, buddy, your share price, the share price of your parent company's tanking. What happens?" And then Chang Kim's response was, "Well, we're not owned by Cacao Corp Global. We're owned by Cacao Entertainment, the privately held company, the privately held subsidiary of Cacao Corporation. So, like, it's not the same thing. It's true though, we are discussing things very closely with them because they're our corporate owner. But like, it's not about the loss is not what's not affecting us. Chang, the loss is affecting you. It's fine." Like, I think what Chang Kim wants to really push forward in this article, and what he's really trying to push forward here is that Cacao is still Cacao. Tapas and the Radish Wuxia World merger thing is going to essentially operate independent. They're going to be doing their own thing, indie style, operating on their own, doing their own thing solo, and that's not hard to believe. I just think it's funny that he continues to insist like a child who's been caught. Like, I believe you, buddy. It's fine. Relax. What I think this entire article does highlight for me is that as the economy is tanking, because I think you guys remember a few episodes ago of the podcast, of the little Hubcast, I said to you guys, I said, hey, they're gonna start making a lot of in-house content going forward. And you guys were like, fuck. Well, I think you guys need to just relax about that one. These fucking idiots. I said that assuming that all these companies had done some basic level of planning economically to deal with the fact that the economy wouldn't always be in their favor, but they hadn't. So the likelihood of in-house content taking over and becoming this big thing, low. Webtoon and DC's thing will probably still continue because they're having a lot of success with that, but I don't think it will be as big as might have been once planned to be. And Tapas is definitely not going forward with a lot of their in-house ideas, although a few of them are still going to go forward, and Tapas is still going to like monitor them, and like the ones that are already going forward are going to be allowed to continue, allowed to finish at least one season, and then will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So that's just, I told you guys to know that. That's really important information when you're working with a company that just doesn't tell you the truth all the time. Because, we got to love Tapas. Love them to bits. And I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about it. Like, were you guys worried about the creation of in-house content? Is something that you like? Would you have preferred that, actually? Would you have preferred a situation where all of featured was in-house content and all of the community content was only in the Canvas section, but like maybe there was a better, maybe you could earn more while being in the Canvas section? I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that. I want to know what some thoughts are out there. Because for me, I think personally, this whole in-house thing is a little bit soured. Like, I didn't want in-house content from the start, but they kept pushing it, and I was trying to see if I could give it a chance. But from all the people I've heard working on the in-house stuff, while the work isn't abusive, the work isn't very fulfilling. It pays fine, but it isn't very fulfilling. And that's a little bit depressing, especially since like these companies have so many IPs to call on and so many creators who would happily do a lot of that work themselves. So I don't know why they're sticking to this in-house content gig that's costing them a ton of money, a ton of money, and giving them almost no return. I don't fucking understand it. I don't know. Am I dumb? Am I missing something here? Because I've been thinking about it for a bit. I read this article. I should say this article was posted in the podcast suggestions and questions section by Cyber Inc. Which, if you have any more suggestions and questions for me or just suggestions for the podcast, you can post that in that channel in the Discord server. And I always look in there. I always read it. If it's an article you want me to talk about, if it's a news piece you want me to look at, something like that, let me know. I always look, and I love hearing your ideas. And when Cyber Inc. posted that, they asked, do I think that this change would be good for creators? What about what do I think about the pivot away from making IP in-house to back and caring more about user-generated content? And do I think Webtoons will be forced to become more competitive? One, do I think it'll be good for creators? Yes. Tapas spending less money in-house on bullshit is always going to be good for creators somewhat, because despite how much I don't like them, they're not totally incompetent. They know that they still have to pay checks. So I'm not worried. I think that's good. It means there's more money going around to pay checks. That's good. What do I think about the pivot away from making IP in-house to user and all the way to IP generated by users? I think it's overall a beneficial move. In-house IP is one of those things where the amount of control it gives companies is so tantalizing, because essentially you get to make whatever you want, as generic as you want. You're not really arguing with anyone or trying to make anyone agree with you. You just make what you want. You pay the writer and he writes what you ask him to. You know? So I'm very much on board with this shift. But now that they can't do that, now that they can't get that easy way out, I'm very much on board with this shift. And do I think Webtoons will become forced to become more competitive? Man, what's that meme where Kobe Bryant takes his hat and like, I think, is it Kobe Bryant or is it like no, it's Jose Mourinho. He's in a plane and he takes his headphones off, like, the fuck am I listening to? Webtoons becoming more competent, more competitive? Like, listen, all right, there is a higher chance of me getting kidnapped by a dragon than Webtoon deciding to act in a more competitive manner. I need to remind you, this is the company that, when it wanted to add a dark mode to Webtoon, paid a bunch of users in California, volunteer users in California, $150 to come to like a little like user interview thing, then took all of the high level users of the app, the people who use the app the most, wasted their time and then told them to leave and didn't ask them any complex questions about the app. So this company doesn't fucking understand what it means to be competitive. They don't understand what it means to make good decisions. Like, I'm sorry. They're not going to become more competitive. Like, if I know you asked that genuinely, so I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing more at like Webtoon becoming competitive. Like, if Webtoon wants to become competitive, to prove it to me, they need to raise the minimum pricing of Canvas. So the maximum pricing of Canvas, and the minimum too. They need to raise like the maximum overall revenue of Canvas that you can earn from like $1,000 to about $1,500. Then I would take them seriously. Unironically, that's what they will take. At least a $500 increase on the top, and at least and an allowance to take less than $100 from the bottom. So like if you're earning $20, you can take it home at least, right? Those would be the two things I think Web2 would need to do to kind of prove to me that like they want to act competitive, because then they'd be attracting a lot of names, big and small, with like little to no effort. Oh, geez. I'm just thinking about that. Anyway, so that's the Webtoon competitiveness conversation done. I really wanted to stew in this one a little bit longer, but like this whole like Tapas firing people and Webtoon competitiveness argument a little bit longer. But I don't think there's too much to put out here. I don't think there's too much to put out. At the end of the day, both of these companies are ludicrously special in the way they handle themselves. So I'm not particularly surprised that even when doing damage control, Tapas is kind of bad at it. Anyway, let me get on to the second topic of today that I wanted to talk about, if I could get to it. This is going to be a relatively short show, by the way. As soon as I get on to the second topic, I'm going to get through it. I need to head out because I have something personal to deal with. But here's the second topic of today. I have been doing something. So I've been doing some homework, some light reading. And you guys know I love to read. You guys know I love those books. I love to read those books. I've been reading, just swap to the top, the Naver 2022 earnings results. Woo! For 22nd quarter. Yay. Yeah, let's clap. Clap, damn you. It's Webtoon lost a lot. Naver lost a lot of money. Like, there's not really much for me to say. There's a lot of money lost. Let me start from the top, I guess, because I think that's the only way I could make this make sense. So, year on year, Webtoon has experienced, again, further growth. Webtoon's year-on-year revenue as a global organization, this is Webtoon Global, by the way, has gone up from 163 billion Korean won in second quarter to 250 billion Korean won in first quarter, 163 billion won to 251 billion won second quarter. Webtoon has added at least 90, but the thing is, of that 251 billion won, right? Of that 251 billion won, at least a good chunk of the added revenue, is from acquisition they made that is giving them some revenue, right? But I need to make this clear. Other than that acquisition, which was the acquisition of a company called Munpia in March, right? Munpia, if you guys don't know, is a Korean site. I think it's a Korean like novel site. I think they sell novels. So I think they either sell novels or they also just do their own comics. They also do their own comic service. But other than the acquisition, they acquired Munpia and another service called EBJ Locus, right? EBJ/Locus, which is a technologies company. I don't know why that was good for them, but those acquisitions added an extra 98 billion Korean won to their revenue. But if you remove those acquisitions of those two companies, Webtoon made 153 billion won, which is 10 billion won less than last quarter. So the money is overall down. Overall, they're losing cash a little bit. And so I decided to kind of snoop around and see how the economy was affecting Naver as a whole. And Naver's losing money. Like, everyone's losing money. The thing is, I should say real quick, the webcomics industry is not getting Thanos snapped out of our eyes. We're not losing money at an unprecedented rate. This is a predictable outcome. Like, over COVID, right? Every media related thing had a crazy growth spurt, where they were earning a ridiculous amount of money, right? And that was great. That was great for all of us. But COVID's over. Like, in most places, all restrictions are lifted. Everyone's going back to work completely. No one's working from home anymore. or at least they're only working partially from home. Due to that reality, and also all the kids are back in school. So due to that reality, webtoons and webcomics in general are just making less money. But the thing is, everyone is making less money. Is Naver losing more than the market average? No. I should say that they're not losing more than the market average. They're losing a lot of money, but not more than the market average. Not more than the market average, in fact. It's weird. It's a weird place that they're in, because right now, this year they've spent a bunch of money. A lot of it was on acquisitions and stuff like that. But their actual like adjusted for a whole bunch of other stuff, the amount of money that they're making this year is a lot less than last year's. This time last year, they were looking at earning between 480 and 500 billion won. And now they're looking at about 400 billion, which, you know, boo-hoo, you lost $100 million. But like, yeah, that's the kind of thing that gets a company, that makes a parent company look at you sideways, you know? It's the kind of thing that makes a company kind of rethink their strategy. I think we're going to see a very frugal Webtoon and a very frugal Tapas going forward. And from some things I've heard with some creators inside working for them, working with them, that frugality is already affecting these companies internally. You know, they're spending less money everywhere. They're spending less money overall, and it's affecting like internal operations, for fuck's sake. It's affecting the internal operations of the companies. Their editors are overworked, given too many creators to look after, and not enough time in the world could possibly allow them to look after all of them. Personnel changes are happening at a ridiculous rate, and all this is coupled with them just losing money like water faucets. I don't think anybody in global is happy. I don't think anybody in the parent company is happy. If you want to know, more specifically how the content situation is going, let's just say, well, well, in third quarter of 2021, Webtoon made 220 billion Korean won, right? And then they lost 54 billion Korean won, right? In second quarter 2022, Webtoon made 363, all the content really together made 363 billion won, but it also all lost 95, and it also all made a loss of 95 billion for the company, right? They lost 95 billion won from all the content. And as for Webtoon's part of this, which there is a section on, let me just get to it real quick. There. For Webtoon's part of it, well, it's complicated. I need to show you this graph. So you're going to have to forgive me, because I'm going to have to explain a whole bunch of interesting little metric things to you I think you would like to know about. And I say you would like to because I want you to know about it. So, let's do a transition screen. I can show you this. So if you look on this graph here, if you're looking at this graph here, kids, what you're going to see is a top bar that says key service metrics and a bottom bar that says global P&L. So this, don't worry too much about this. This is mostly just about everything but Wattpad. So don't really worry about it. But let's worry about these key service metrics for the Webtoon service metrics. Real quick. MAU means monthly active users. PU means damn, what was it again? Jesus, I know what the word is, but I was like I'm thinking about it because I was talking about it yesterday. PU means per user. That's what it was. PU is per user. or basically just like the users on the platform. ARRPU, right, is, or ARPU, is the not average revenue per unit. Sorry, ARPPU, my bad. ARPPU is the average revenue per paying user. So PU means paying user. ARPPU means average revenue per paying user, right? So this is paying user in thousands, right? This is ARPPU, average revenue per paying user in Korean won. And this is GMV in Korean won. And GMV translates to what gross merchandise value. So that's the value of the products in the area, right? It's the value of all the merchandise that was sold. So as in how much money did they spend to make the stuff that they sold for money? Okay, cool. So globally, Webtoon has a total global monthly active user base of 85 million people. As you can see, the United States only has 12.5 of those millions, and Korea has 20 of those million monthly active users, with Indonesia, Thailand, and other places sharing the other 31 million monthly active users. Japan also is a really big heavyweight. Paying users, globally, Webtoon has 8 million paying users. In Korea, despite having only 20 million people using the platform, Korea has 5 million paying users. For Japan, they have 1 million paying users, almost 2 million. The US only has 540,000 paying users, which is very low considering the volume of people on the platform, which indicates a problem with Webtoon's ability to not only attract and maintain users, but attract, maintain users, and convince them to pay. Which means that either it's costing too much for people to pay, or Webtoon's incentives to pay are very low, and people don't want to bother to pay, right? And if you want to, and this ARPPU is the average revenue per paying user. So essentially, how much every month, I think it's every month, how much every X amount of time, ARPPU is 20 second quarter averages. That's every month. How much every month in the second quarter were each individual paying user paying? Globally, each paying user was paying an average of 13,000 won, which is about $13. So just to be clear. In Korea, people pay about $8 to $30. In Japan, people pay almost up to $48. In the US, people pay $13. You know, the US is being pretty average. Everywhere else, they pay about $3,000. They pay about $3 to $24, right? Just to have an understanding of what all these metrics are. And Webtoon saying essentially, for all their Korean stuff that they sold, they spent 150 billion won on it, and they've sold that. Now, that's not how much they've sold, but they've sold those items. But they spent 150 billion won making it, if I'm understanding GMV properly. No. GMV is the act. No, sorry. That's how much money. That's how much money all the items they sold cost. So they sold all of them for about that much money. That's what it was. So they sold them all for about $400 million in total, with the United States only selling about $21 million worth of stuff. And I'm telling you all this just to understand that, like, Webtoon US is not making a bunch of money. I'm sorry. Webtoon US isn't making a bunch of money. Like, our paying user base is stagnating. If you look at this bottom graph here, it hasn't really changed much, despite the fact that Japan's is going up and Korea's even went up by a good number of 300 people. But the ones in the United States are pretty much stagnant, which means to anybody at Webtoon headquarters who's listening right now, your marketing fucking sucks. And your ability to convince people to spend money is so laughable and comedic. That's why nobody's spending money, you dicks. Like, that's why nobody's spending money. You incentivize nobody to spend money. It's so fucking dumb. But essentially, all these metrics, all of this information is saying things I've said before to you. Webtoon has bad marketing. Webtoon gives zero incentives for people to give them money. And the few things that cost money on the Webtoon platform cost way too much money. And as such, nobody wants to spend any money at all. It's a little worrying. It's a little worrying. It's a little upsetting. I was hoping that like this quarter's results would be a little bit different, but clearly they're losing money like everyone. Tapas, if you don't know this, Cacao is also losing money, so we're in a difficult spot. Our industry isn't getting Thanos snapped, but much like chess YouTubers, we're going to be in a bit of a decline for the next couple of months. It's going to be a bit of a hard decline, so be kind to your friends. But if you have IP conversations going on right now with Webtoon and they haven't fully gone through, be aware of the fact that if they've not gone through, they could and might rescind on them because they've lost money, right? And be aware of the fact that, like, you know, they're going to be expecting a little bit more from all of us. If that's not fair, but they are going to be expecting a little bit more from you. So be wary, lads and lasses, and whatever the non-binary word for lad is. It's a scary world out there. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it at all. I'm not looking forward to how things are going to change. I'm not looking forward to how it's going to affect future content production. I'm quite curious to see what it's going to do to the DC productions that are currently going on, all the DC comics that are currently in production right now. I'm quite interested in how this big change, this big switch up is going to affect them. I don't know. Webcomic recession is getting scary. It is. But Nico, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. All right? No matter how bad it gets. Remember, no matter how bad it gets, we have Ohana. And Ohana means family. And family means that none of us get left behind. None of us gets left behind. So we're gonna be fine. We're gonna do fine. It just won't be as easy as it should have been. As long as we lay low and do our thing, we should make it through pretty easily, all things considered. But damn. Yeah, you're right. It is a little bit worrying. Keck W'd in my chat. Jesus Christ. Spamming lol W's in my chat. Yeah, like I'm a little worried about what's gonna happen going forward. You know, it's been a month. It's been a crazy month. It's been a crazy month of companies shutting down, the webcomic industry firing people, companies downsizing. You know, I fear for what's gonna come. But what's great is that if you want some good positive news, I want to let you know something really positive. Economically, a lot of the stuff that kind of brought us into the recession, a lot of the causes of the recession, including COVID and stuff, a lot of the like actions that caused a lot of the problems are going away. They're stopping. So there's a chance that things will get brighter going forward. There's a chance things will get better going forward. And I, for one, I'm hoping that it does, quite honestly, because I need more Kickstarter comics so I can buy them. And I feel like if things get harder, these people, they'll just stop putting them out. People will just stop seeing the value in putting out Kickstarter comics, let alone webcomics. This is the hard life I live. Oh, Jesus. I'm potentially more interested right now in seeing whether there's any competitor smart enough to use the current disadvantage of Webtoon and Tapas, maybe because they spent very little over the past year and as such are prepared with a lot more revenue. I'd love to see one of those webcomics act and do something. Maybe take some users and creators away from Webtoon and Tapas. Let me see how that's going to change things going forward, because I'm quite interested in that. I hope Dilly Hub has like a plan or has like something, have a plan or something, because otherwise, you know, they're not going anywhere right now. Just woke up and got here. What's the TLDR? Rewatch for context. Economy bad. Tapas broke. Webtoon broke. Comic broke. Comic getting broke. Let's stick together. Ohana means family. Lol W. Is that a good breakdown for you, Smokey BLT? Is that a good breakdown? I hope so. Jesus Christ. I've kind of been on the show for a bit, if I'm honest. I don't know. What do you guys think? How is this affecting you? Have you guys, I don't know. I think some of my users, some of my viewers do commissions. Have you noticed a significant drop in commissions lately over the past couple of months? Has your comic revenue gone down overall? I want to know. I want to know if there's some tangible things that we're all experiencing already, or if it's just going to be big company stuff. Because I haven't been putting stuff out in the past year, so I don't know if anything's changed revenue wise in any way. I don't know if things are lower this year. I don't know how all of this is, how the recession is going to affect all of this. A little worried. I did have good news though, so that was nice. That was nice. I'm not published yet, so I don't know, but this is all very useful info. It's always useful to understand how much money your industry is making. I think what actually has been on my mind a little bit lately is what Naver's plan is currently. Naver Webtoon has been doing the same thing for a few years, and it's starting to not work. And I wonder if they're going to actually try and change things up, or if they're going to do what a lot of companies do when they die and think that the problem is the marketing exclusively, try and shift the marketing exclusively, but change nothing about the actual product that they're offering to people. I wonder if that's what we have on our hands. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. It's been a weird couple of months, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, this is one of those weeks where I'm light on stuff because I'm currently working on a longer set of episodes, a longer set of a bunch of different content. So I'm a little bit light on topics to bring to you all today. I wanted to talk to you guys about action today, but I've moved it. I've said it's 0 commission. Sorry for the cynicism. It's okay, Rock Lobster. I wanted to talk to you guys about action comics and about how to write action, but I had to move that to later because of personal stuff. So because today's a bit light on topics, I'm just gonna let you guys know what's to look forward to in the coming months, weeks. Not sure. Look forward to a new video, a video on villains. It's got some great art behind it, and that'd be nice. Look forward to a CTA read along that I'll hopefully be doing soon, with some friends, trying to just reading some comics. We'll all take a voice, all read them. I think watch party videos are fun and all, but unfortunately, I don't want to get Susan Wojcicki'd every time I watch a Webtoon original, and I think I'll save them for something else. So read-alongs might be a fun thing that we'll do, hopefully. Sorry, it has to be a short one. I'm preparing another podcast episode and got all that stuff going on. Thank you so much for showing up today, though, guys. I'm sorry that today's episode is short, but I promise you a longer episode next time, which will probably be next week, hopefully, as long as I don't go on holiday or move, which I might do soon. Okay. Hopefully the longer one has more content and the stuff that I really want to get to. Thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you to my patrons, Cheesy, Nick the Halfling, Pastelfly, and Ashlyn. You guys are all truly wonderful. I appreciate you very much. I'm Vinen. You've been awesome. And I'll see you guys next week. Such a short day.